Energy system responses. As you can see on the slides, the three names of the energy systems are lactic acid system, aerobic system, and the ATP system, PC system. One of the main functions for all three of these systems is to replace the ATP that has been used. The lactic acid system is for a high intensity activity. The duration of this activity would last for roughly 1 minute. The ATP PC system is much quicker than the lactic acid system as it lasts for a maximum of 10 seconds. The last system, which is the aerobic system, is in between the other two systems as it is a low to medium activity intensity, although the aerobic system is the main system when a person is at rest. Role of ATP in resynthesis. ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate, and it is a small molecule that is within a cell. One of the main roles of ATP is to provide energy. ATP is also made up of three things. One thing is ribose sugar, another thing is an adenine ring, and also three phosphate groups, which is called triphosphate. In something called the sliding filament theory, the ATP will release, and then this will then allow the myosin to then force the acting filaments inwards. Due to this, the myosin forcing the actin filaments will be moved inwards, and then the muscle will shorten. The myosin will also detach from the actin, and so due to this, the cross-bridge will be broken. After this, the ATP molecule will then attach to the myosin head when energy is released, and then as a result of this, ATP is broken down. This will then mean that more energy is needed to then resynthesize the ATP. The intensity at which ATP is used at a high intensity, whilst the duration is a low duration, which is roughly 3 seconds. ATP resynthesis, phosphocreatine. PC stands for phosphocreatine. Phosphocreatine is a molecule that stores phosphates, and then it can turn it into energy, which will then provide energy for a muscular contraction. Phosphocreatine is similar to ATP in where it stores muscle cells. The intensity for phosphocreatine is a high intensity, and this high intensity will also last for 7 seconds, which phosphocreatine is the best store of high energy phosphates that are in the muscle. Phosphocreatine is also the fuel that is available which regenerates ATP, and phosphocreatine will then get broken down by something called creatine kinase. This then allows the phosphate from the phosphocreatine to then convert something which is called adenosine diphosphate into a substance that is called adenosine triphosphate. ATP resynthesis, glycolytic lactic acid system. The anaerobic glycolysis is when glucose changes to lactate when it has not a lot of oxygen available. This is then the use of the energy production, which is at a high intensity, and also it is at a short duration, but this can be between 10 seconds to 2 minutes. A really good example of this is the 200 meters in athletics. The lactic acid system breaks down glucose to the pyruvic acid in the muscles. The word glycolysis means to break down a glucose, which then will produce ATP. An advantage of the lactic acid system is there are fewer reactions than in the aerobic system for it to produce energy. This means that this system is much faster, but this also means that the lactic acid system will also provide a more high intensity energy between 1 second and 2 minutes. But the main advantage of the lactic acid system is it can both work anaerobically, which anaerobically means without oxygen, and aerobically, means with oxygen. The lactic acid system will also break down things like glucose by coupled reactions. and then it will also resynthesize ADP, which will then go back into ATP. Investigation data analysis, multi-stage fitness test. The blood lactate started at 2 millimoles. This was at rest, but it gradually started to increase as they started to exercise. By level 4, a small increase had happened as it went up to about 3 millimoles. After the multi-stage fitness test was completed by my client, there was a blood lactate that had rapidly increased. This had rapidly increased to 19 millimoles. This has happened because there may not be enough oxygen available to break down glucose for energy, so the lactate is then made. Investigation data analysis, Wingate. At rest, as you can see in the table, their blood lactate was 2 millimoles. After they completed the 20-second Wingate test, as you can see during this exercise period, it had been rapidly increasing. And after the test had been done, their blood lactate had rapidly increased to 21 millimoles. Sport application analysis. In a football game, a person uses all three of the interplay systems. An example of this is when phosphocreatine is used when the ball comes towards you and you sprint roughly about 20 meters. ATP is used for when you jump to do the header, and the lactic acid system is used when you're doing a really intense run to recover the ball after you've lost it. Most football games have easy parts and hard parts, meaning there is not always a linear change in a football game. And that is the end.